I'd like to take a moment to let you all know about a new non-profit organization started by my brother Craig. It's called Treats and Truth. They fill oversized brown lunch bags with snack items, chips, crackers, popcorn, cookies, etc. Also, a bottle of water, toothbrush, toothpaste, sanitary wipes, and most importantly, a small gospel-tract book of John. No cigar? I'll have to talk to him about that. The bags are then hand-delivered to the homeless and people in need in and around the Los Angeles area. Let's help get this ministry off the ground. They're a 501c3 tax-exempt organization, so any and all donations are tax-deductible and greatly appreciated. Visit their website at treatsandtruth.org. Check out the show notes for the link. Also, please follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you. Welcome to episode 212 of the Burning Bush Podcast, where we share the message of the Bible while enjoying a good cigar. Hope you're doing well, and I'm glad you've joined me. In this episode, we're reading the New Testament book of Acts, chapter 25, with commentary from the notes in the Charles Spurgeon Study Bible, and I'm smoking the K by Berger Cameroon in the Toro 6x52 Vitola. So let's go to cigarsdaily.com and see what they have to say. The K by Berger Cameroon features an increasingly popular Cameroon wrapper leaf to produce a vivid smoking experience. The blend features Berger's hand-selected Nicaraguan binder and filler tobaccos to complement the sweet and smooth Cameroon wrapper. Light up this blend to experience a flavor with notes of pepper, cream, earth, and honey. And the strength is medium. Wrapper is Cameroon. Binders and fillers are both Nicaraguan. And the Vitolas are the Robusto 5x52, Toro 6x52, and the Salomon 5x52 to 58. That is the K by Berger Cameroon. So let's get into our reading of Acts chapter 25. I am reading from the English Standard Version, the ESV. In verse 1, Now 3 days after Festus had arrived in the province, he went up to Jerusalem from Caesarea. And the chief priests and the principal men of the Jews laid out their case against Paul, and they urged him, asking as a favor against Paul that he summon him to Jerusalem, because they were planning an ambush to kill him on the way. Festus replied that Paul was being kept at Caesarea, and that he himself intended to go there shortly. So, said he, let the men of authority among you go down with me, and if there is anything wrong about the man, let them bring charges against him. After he stayed among them not more than 8 or 10 days, he went down to Caesarea, and the next day he took his seat on the tribunal and ordered Paul to be brought. When he had arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many and serious charges against him that they could not prove. Paul argued in his defense, Neither against the law of the Jews, nor against the temple, nor against Caesar have I committed any offense. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, Do you wish to go up to Jerusalem and there be tried on these charges before me? But Paul said, I am standing before Caesar's tribunal, where I ought to be tried. To the Jews I have done no wrong, as you yourself know very well. If then I am a wrongdoer, and have committed anything for which I deserve to die, I do not seek to escape death. But if there is nothing to their charges against me, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar." And Spurgeon comments on verse 11, "If then I did anything wrong and am deserving of death, I am not trying to escape death. But if there is nothing to what these men accuse me of, no one can give me up to them. I appeal to Caesar." As a free-born Roman citizen, Paul had the right of appeal to the emperor, and he exercised that right. It may be that he also realized this was the way the Lord's prophecy would be fulfilled. "Have courage, for as you have testified about me in Jerusalem, so it is necessary for you to testify in Rome." Acts chapter 23, verse 11. And picking back up in verse 12, "Then Festus, when he had conferred with his council, answered, 'To Caesar you have appealed, to Caesar you shall go.' Now when some days had passed, Agrippa the king and Bernice arrived at Caesarea and greeted Festus. And as they stayed there many days, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, 'There is a man left prisoner by Felix, and when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and the elders of the Jews laid out their case against him, asking for a sentence of condemnation against him. I answered them that it was not the custom of the Romans to give up anyone before the accused met the accusers face to face and had opportunity to make his defense concerning the charge laid against him. So when they came together here, I made no delay, but on the next day took my seat on the tribunal and ordered the man to be brought. When the accusers stood up, they brought no charge in his case of such evils as I supposed. Rather, they had certain points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a certain Jesus who was dead, but whom Paul asserted to be alive." And Spurgeon comments on verse 19, "A certain Jesus, a dead man, Paul claimed to be alive." Porcius Festus had been appointed governor in the place of Felix, who had left Paul a prisoner so as to please the Jews. Festus, the new Roman governor, is giving to King Agrippa a brief account of the matter between Paul and the Jews. Festus did not profess to understand the business. He was a Roman governor newly come to Judea. He had no acquaintance whatever with Jewish scriptures or with Jewish laws. He had never thought it worth his special attention, but he was a little puzzled as to how he should represent the matter to Caesar, to whom Paul had appealed. When Festus speaks of a certain Jesus, he mentions the name as belonging to some obscure individual of whom he knew nothing and cared less. But this Jesus Paul claimed to be alive. Evidently, this astounding statement about Jesus' having risen from the dead and being alive was uppermost in the mind of Festus. In fact, when Paul was given the opportunity to explain his case, in chapter 23, verse 23, he told Festus, "The Messiah must suffer, and that, as the first to rise from the dead, he would proclaim light to our people and to the Gentiles." When Festus heard this, he exclaimed in a loud voice, "You're out of your mind, Paul!" Paul did not argue the resurrection. He merely affirmed it. He did not preach a dead Christ, but one who is able to save completely, since he always lives to intercede for them. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 25. Jesus died. Jesus rose again. Jesus is now alive. That is the gospel. And continuing in verse 20, being at a loss how to investigate these questions, I asked whether he wanted to go to Jerusalem and be tried there regarding them. But when Paul had appealed to be kept in custody for the decision of the emperor, I ordered him to be held until I could send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, I would like to hear the man myself." "Tomorrow," said he, "you will hear him." So on the next day, Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp, and they entered the audience hall with the military tribunes and the prominent men of the city. Then, at the command of Festus, Paul was brought in. And Festus said, "King Agrippa and all who are present with us, you see this man about whom the whole Jewish people petitioned me, both in Jerusalem and here, shouting that he ought not to live any longer. But I found that he had done nothing deserving death, and as he himself appealed to the emperor, I decided to go ahead and send him. But I have nothing definite to write to my lord about him. Therefore, I have brought him before you all, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after we have examined him, I may have something to write. For it seems unreasonable to me, in sending a prisoner, not to indicate the charges against him." That's the end of this episode. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to the Charles Spurgeon Study Bible, as well as today's cigar. Also, Groundworks Ministries for daily Bible studies and devotionals, Treats and Truth Ministry, where you can get involved in helping to spread the gospel to and be a blessing to the homeless, and the Burning Bush merchandise store, where you can pick up some items to help spread the word about the show. If you know anyone who needs to hear this, please let them know about the podcast and help share the message of the Bible, the hope we have in Yeshua Messiah, Jesus Christ. If you'd like to contact me, you can email me at steve@theburningbushpodcast.com, which is linked in the show notes as well. So until next time, have a great day, have a great cigar, and God bless.